What I also have is a seal driver which I bought on eBay. So you can push seals in square. First time, every time. There we go. I think these fit slightly just over 4mm on this this seal driver, but that is square. I mean, the last thing you want is it to be running out of square. That'll kill it quicker than anything else. I'll just explain. This is how the tool works. You fit it in here, but with this old seal, it's kind of splayed out, and it's not able to fit in. I've got a new seal here, and this is essentially how it fits in, like that. So if we compare these new and old seals, this is the new seal. So you see there when they're aligned on one end down here, it's quite a bit wider on the other side from all that compression that's been happening up against the stub axle. So having pushed the new seal in, I'm just going to check at what depth that actually is. That first measurement's 4.4mm. 4.4, yeah. So let's try it over here. 4.4mm. We now do it on the shoulder of the tool. That is 4.8mm on the shoulder. It's about 4.8mm deep there. It gives about 4.4 deep on the seal. So the seals say on them, fit to depth 4mm. This is 4.4mm. Does it matter? And why is it 4mm? Well, for that we have to look at a technical service bulletin that was released in 1996. Here is that technical service bulletin, in fact, November 1996 to be more precise. And the key point here is that it says the latest design change adds a vertical dust lip, so requires the depth of fit to be carefully controlled. And the other important point is the new seal is completely interchangeable with the previous seal and should be replaced. So that is this part, FTC4785. So it's basically interchangeable all the way back to the beginning of 300 TDI production. That's around 939,000. This diagram over here, particularly helpful. This details the diagram. Here's the stub axle, here's the hub, and here's the seal that's been fitted in from this direction. Here's the first sealing lip, the second one, and then the dust seal is the third sealing lip running up flush against the face of the stub axle. And here is the measurement. It's from the face of the outside of the hub to the depth of the shoulder of the seal. And interestingly here, it details this to be 4.05 to 4.25. So it's not just fitting 4mm deep as is explained on the seal, but it's slightly deeper than 4mm, up to at least 0.2mm deeper. However, if we look at the 1996 workshop manual, this is the third edition, it makes no reference to the depth. It only talks about here using the special tool. With the lip side leading, fit the new seal to hub using special tool LST137. Drive the seal in flush with the rear face of the hub. This could be misconstrued, I think. What I think they really mean is fit the special tool flush with the rear face of the hub, and then the seal will be driven in. It's not the seal being flush, which some people may do. They may, because you've got this ambiguity between it says 4mm on the seal, this says seal flush. Which one are you going to do? And in reality, unless you've got access to the technical service bulletin, so you may actually err on the wrong side and incorrectly fit the seal. The 1990 to 2002 workshop manual has actually got less information. It just says fit new seal flush with rear face of hub using this tool here. The 2007 workshop manual also doesn't give any more detail about the depth. It just says fit it with the special tool. And the 2012 workshop manual is also the same thing. It says use the special tool. And here we have a brand new stub axle, and this is how the seal and the stub axle fit together. So that is how you would expect the seal to run. And naturally, if this is deeper than 4mm, it's going to come away and you're not going to get a sealing. It's not going to seal up against the edge of the stub axle. If you don't get it deep enough, then this is going to mash up against the side there and probably destroy the seal quite quickly. So That's what we're looking for, is that kind of sweet spot where it's touching and presumably just compressed a little bit, which is why we've seen on this old seal it's wider than a brand new seal, because presumably this came from the hub where it was fitted exactly 4mm deep. This was presumably had a bit of pressure on there, which splays it out a bit and actually creates a better sealing action. So this seal is basically 0.2mm deeper than it should be. It's 4.4 and the maximum tolerance is 4.2. And there's only a tolerance of 0.2mm anyway, so it's 100% out. So what I want to do is test whether it actually makes contact with the edge of the stub axle here, just to check whether there's going to be an issue, or how much tolerance we have on the tolerance, if that kind of makes sense. So this is another used hub I've got with the used seal in it. And what's interesting about this is it's not in square. This side is 4.5mm deep. This side is 4mm deep. You might just be able to see a bit of a slight down angle there. So when we've got the stub axle in, this is the lower side. This is the 4.5mm side. So we can see the top of the seal there, and that is coming to make contact. You can see that there's a bit of grease getting stuck and pulled away. So it is making contact there. And this is the side that's 4mm deep, so you can just about see the seal in there. You can see how that very slightly comes into contact and then is pushed out slightly. Like that. It's pushing the seal out slightly, which wasn't happening on the other side, so it's a very subtle difference there. What I'm going to do is put a bit of grease on here, check the grease ring that ends up on the stub axle, and then I'll do the same with the new seal and hub that I fitted and compare them. So I've greased this up on the lip. I'm going to put the stub axle in and not rotate it so that I can see the difference between the different sides. Push down. Interesting. So this is the 4mm side. We've got a obvious pressing there, and same on this side. Maybe a bit less there, but there's potentially some variability in how much grease was put on either side, which could affect this. But I'm going to call that a contact patch. So even with 4.5mm depth on the seal, there is a contact patch. I guess what the tolerance is trying to achieve with 4.2 to 4mm depth is that there's some pressure exerted into the face of the stub axle, so that's what causes the seals to splay out. I've cleaned off the stub axle again. Down it goes, and there we go. There is a ring of grease all the way around the edge there. So I'm quite content then that 4.4mm is keeping contact. Maybe it's not perfect. It's not by the spec, which is 4.2 at the most, but that's allayed some of my fears that it's not making contact. It is making contact, and potentially with a bit of torque or a bit of preload, it's going to squash the hub in a bit closer to the stub axle, potentially. Conclusions from that, maybe, 4mm is as close as you can, but if you go to 4.5, maybe it's not the end of the world. But I'll leave you to judge what you find acceptable. I think what I'm going to do next, and this will have to be tomorrow, try and get these fitted back on the vehicle.